I'm going to say this about Hans Zimmer, and I'll say it as an electronic music composer. Hans Zimmer shines the brightest with his orchestra music. He just does. I'm not saying like he can't experiment with sounds like he's done with Dune and Inception and Interstellar and stuff like that. And I'm not even saying something like Interstellar is a bad score. It's a very a new experimental score that I like, but I do not have the inclination of listening to Interstellar, the score, without watching the movie. Whereas I could listen to, for a little bit at least, the score for The Lone Ranger. He's just good with the orchestra. I really wish he would go back to the orchestra. There is something very inspiring and magical with his orchestral scores, and I'm not saying he can't write electronic music. I'm not saying he shouldn't write electronic music, but this is true of all composers, by the way. I mean, dare I say this would have been true even if the likes of John Williams pursued electronic music. They think generic chord progressions and cool sounds will suffice. And I think this is true with Hans Zimmer to an extent. Now, people say, no, no, his Dune score was so experimental. The reason why people like the Dune score so much is how it was absolutely and exclusively integral to the movie cinematic experience. You really are experiencing the soundtrack because of what you see with the visuals. Now, this is not a bad thing by itself. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but the problem is you could actually fall into this trap as a composer saying, well, this is good enough, this is cool enough, and therefore I'm fine with not working with theme, not working with all the little nuances that, someone like John Williams works in. Like, I was listening to an analysis of the Harry Potter theme, the Sorcerer's Stone theme, and I was looking at Charles Cornell. He's a great YouTuber who does music analysis. He's a jazz pianist and he knows his stuff. He analyzes different pop culture music. It's a wonderful channel. And I was listening to Harry Potter, his like short analysis of Harry Potter. There's something transcending, I think I should say, that transcends like the human mind and the soul when something like the theme for Harry Potter lines up perfectly with the image, but it can be listened to by itself as a thing. The Harry Potter, at least that theme, it works so well by itself, but it makes it even more magical when it syncs up right with when Hagrid gives Harry Potter the book that has the picture of his parents when he's a baby. Like, John Williams, man, he knew what to do. Like, he always knows what to do. And you can't do that when you get lazy with electronic music. People say, it sounds cool. It's cool. I'll work with a drone with some, bandwidth cut off, and we're going to have this little noise sweep, and we're going to have this arpeggiation and stuff. And I work with those sounds all the time. I love those sounds. But in the cinematic experience, in the movie going experience, it can get tiring. It can really actually tire the viewer. To Brian's point on the Dune score, if you're thinking everything is so loud and it sounds like a murder weapon, it's because people are losing their sensibilities for space and silence and differences of activity within the electronic score, both the electronic and the orchestra. Super important to understand that.